Hello, my name is Scott Siku. I am a fly fisherman and fly tyer from the central Iowa area. I work at the Sportsman's Warehouse in Ankeny, Iowa, back in the fishing department, and today what I'd like to show is some of the flies that we use while fly fishing for trout up in northeast Iowa, as well as some of the flies that we will use for pan fishing here in Iowa. Today what I'm going to do, one of the first patterns that I'm going to do is what we will use up in northeast Iowa, and as well as different parts of the country. It's called a zebra midge. Most of these zebra midges will imitate a small chironomid or insect larva. They come in various colors, anywhere from black to green or olive to even red. There's also going to be a ribbing in there. The ribbing can be also various colors. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to size that so I know for sure what size hook I've got, and I'm going to use a product that's called a hook and hackle gauge. What this is going to do is it's going to allow me to match my hook as well as the feathers, so that everything stays within the same proportions. Just place it on the silhouettes of the hooks, and this one is going to be a number 14. Put it in here and put a silver or black, in this case it's going to be a black tungsten bead. The reason I use tungsten is it's going to be 1.5 times as heavy as a standard bead. Most of these beads can be bought from craft stores or fly tying supply houses, and for very little money. I've also got a product I'm using. It's called a bead napper. What this does is it allows me to take a bead and put it in a pair of like tweezers so that I can manipulate it onto the hook. Everything is sitting there on the hook shank. I'm going to go ahead and mount it in the vise. When I mount it on the vise, I only want to put it in just far enough that I bury the barb so that I don't catch it when I'm using my thread. The thread that I'm using on this is a black thread. I will lay it on, wrap it 5 or 6 times, make sure that the thread is secured, clip it off, and then continue to lay a thread base down the shank of the hook. The reason I like to go all the way down the side of the hook, or down the bend as it's more commonly referred to, is just gives a little bit longer body. We've got one wrap right here. The ribbing I'm using today is going to be a fine tinsel in silver, that's silver in color. When I lay this on, I'm going to lay it on the side of the hook that faces me. What this is going to do is as I wrap this around, it will have a tendency to stay in place. Otherwise, if not, you'll have wire that's going to be flowing all around the hook. I've got a single base. That's the second wrap of the base. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay two more wraps on there, continuing all the way around. Just makes it a little bit darker. About at the same point, I'm going to now reverse that and bring it back up. It's also going to give a little bit longer, or a little bit thicker body. At this point, what I like to do is take my vise, then rotate it up. And all I'm going to do with that wire is I'm going to wrap it around 4, 5, or 6 times. Try and space the wraps out fairly evenly. There's the second wrap. We're into the third. Number 5 is going to end up just right behind the bead, which is typically where we'd like to end up. Grab the thread with my other hand and wrap that around. Just transfer it back. Now I've got that secured. I can now clip that wire off, roll my thread back up, continue wrapping the collar up here. At this point, I'm going to put on several half hitches. Everybody has a different way of doing a half hitch. What I like to do is make a loop and then roll it around. I'm going to grab it with a pair of scissors. It just gets it in close to the bead. Run it in tight. Loop it again. Wrap it about 5 or 6 times. securing it right back up behind the head. Pull it down and clip this excess off. This is up to the individual how they want to do it. A lot of times, if the fish, when the fishing gets real hot and heavy, fish will have a tendency to go ahead and tear these patterns up. Most of the trout do have teeth, so therefore they're going to be very abrasive on them. I like to add just a little bit of glue. Just makes a little bit neater finish on it. And then we are finished with the black zebra midge.